And Sean, aka Lord Spew. We talk shop with other creatives in animation and comics about things like finding your artistic path or the process of making art while we doodle on Magma.
We asked people on our social medias if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts. If you haven't yet, check out our Patreon and subscribe to our channel.
Today we have with us Harper Sims. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi! Thank you so much for coming on the show, Harper.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh, that's very sweet. You listen. You listen.
I feel like I'm a little late to the game in terms of animation career. And so it's been really nice to kind of play catch up and kind of learn a little bit from the show.
Yeah, we're the cheat sheet. We're the cliff notes over here. Well, speaking of that, what do you mean by late to the animation industry? Describe that.
So I right now, I moved out to LA in 2019, and got like a few like short months in enjoying the city before the pandemic. And I'm right now I'm on like my second kind of studio production. But yeah.
Yeah, what made you want to come out to LA? And where did you come from?
Initially, we moved, my wife and I moved from Chicago, and yeah, I was doing graphic design at the time, and I was doing editorial illustration, which I really enjoyed and was trying to get more and more work for that, but it was so hard. So I ended up just kind of reaching out to a friend who had moved out here recently, and they had gotten a job in animation. And I think my thinking was, it was like, okay, doing this like editorial stuff, it's just like you find like one sporadic gig here and there, and then you do that, and then all of a sudden it's done. And so animation just felt like is like, oh, these are like much larger projects, and so it seemed like there was like a little more security there.
Was there any part of editorial that you liked, and is there any part of editorial that you feel like you brought with you into animation?
Ooh. I was working with this publication called the Chicago Reader a lot. There was like a political columnist, Ben Jarofsky, who was he'd been writing for them for like forever, and it was like one of the like those alt weeklies, and it was really fun. But then their like funding started falling through, and the like political illustrations, like there's only so many times you can draw like the Chicago skyline before you're kind of going crazy.
I'll prove you wrong. No, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're working kind of like the same job versus like editorial with a bunch of different other companies or something.
Yeah, yeah. um but yeah, I think I still kind of think about drawings from that kind of like a graphic perspective, where a lot of times it's like very geometric and stuff.
Well, a lot of graphic designers and I feel like editorial people, if they do go into animation, they end up going a little into motion graphics. Did you ever play around with that?
I did actually. Yeah. One of my first jobs, or one of the last jobs I had right before we moved, was a graphic design job for a like a sandwich company. And they were like bringing me in, and I was animating sandwiches, and I was kind of like,
It's a dream job.
you know, I was like, I don't know. But they wanted to start like bringing me into some of the like marketing
Don't
meetings
tell
that
me you
they were
don't like
having.
sandwiches. Are you gonna drop that on me? You
No,
don't. Do you like sandwiches, or you didn't like animating them?
so it was a dream job in the sense that like there was like a very steep discount on their sandwiches, and the restaurant was like right downstairs.
Wait, were paying you in sandwiches?
Yeah, they paid me in sandwiches.
Fuck.
And so yeah, we just built a little house out of sandwiches and just kind of used that to kind of like survive the Chicago winters.
Oh my
When the
god.
bread gets hard, when the bread gets hard,
Yeah, when it's
it
stale.
is sturdy.
But doesn't it get wet with all the snow? All right, this bit has gone too long.
Listen, you can't say the last one in the bit and then call it off. That's not fair.
The bit is closed.
The bit is closed
You
for
can't just
business.
close the. I'm reopening the bit. How about we do windows out of cheese? No. Well, so you ended up getting tired of that too. You were like, I don't want to draw skyline anymore. Sandwiches are a bore.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that sandwiches were boring. Sandwiches are wonderful, and I'm sorry if I came across as as if I was disparaging sandwiches.
Yeah, please don't.
I'm sorry to any sandwich lovers out there.
Okay.
I essentially they started kind of like bringing me into like marketing meetings and stuff, and I kind of realized it was like, all right, doing some of the graphic design stuff I was doing, I was like, oh, is that's kind of maybe the next step, is like doing that kind of thing, or like managing people. And I just enjoyed like the like creating aspect of it, because it was fun learning some of like After Effects and some of the like animation programs.
Was that any of the skills that you did you use these skills when you were like interviewing for animation gigs later on?
I was also doing comics at the time. I was like, I was really involved in this print community in Chicago. There was a group called the Chicago Printers Guild that I started kind of hanging out with, and then eventually I was like on the board, kind of helping out with some of that stuff. And so I think for me, my entrance to animation was definitely more through that realm of like making comics and printing them and doing fairs and stuff.
Favorite fairs, favorite places to go table?
Ooh, the one that kind of turned me on to the like comic scene, like the people that were just kind of doing like DIY, kind of making their own stuff, was it was called Cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I went to that for the first time ever, maybe in like 2015 or so, maybe way before that. But it was really cool. It was at this place called Center on Halsted, which was like kind of the Chicago like LGBTQ center. And that was kind of like my first time kind of like seeing like an actual like kind of scene that was sort of like made up of like a bunch of kind of like gender queer people. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt I was just like, here's where everyone is.
I found you.
My crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
That's cool. Do you so you do you think did it go you first attended one of these like DIY events and then you kind of went into printmaking, or was it kind of like first printmaking then going to events? And I guess I want to lead up to the question of like, do you have an online shop and do you have like a small business?
I think it was like right out of college. I reached out. There were these two printmakers, Nadine Nakanishi and Nick Butcher, that ran a screen printing studio and like design studio called Sonnenzimmer. And I met them at like a music festival where they like had their like booths set up and everything. And I ended up just kind of talking with them for like an hour, and they were just the nicest people. And they brought me in to do an apprenticeship with them. And so they kind of showed me what it was like to kind of like what it took to kind of like run a studio, and like kind of like their like art making practice, as well as like the kind of nitty gritty like business side of things. And yeah, I feel like they, in a way, for me, were kind of like my art school, because they kind of introduced me to some more established artists in Chicago, and kind of showed me what the value was in like being part of like a larger community. But Nadine introduced me to, there's like a comic shop in Chicago called Quimby's, which is like a bit of an institution and has like, they put a lot of emphasis on like the like DIY aspect of it, like that all the zines and everything are like right up front, and they have like this huge wall. So that, seeing that and just kind of seeing how accessible it was made me want to like make my own comic. And so they let me like use their like printing table and screen print like a comic that I made, that was called Slam Dunks, and it was about houses that came to life and played basketball in the middle of the night.
Nice. And when was the first time where you felt like you were making comics and people were seeing them and enjoying them? Like where you started being like, hey, this is something that, like, when I make these, people enjoy them and I read them, as opposed to like, oh, I'm just making these like on my own, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think a large part of that was on by like being able to print them. And then like I think maybe the following year that I found out about Cake, I went and I was able to table there, and like put my stuff in front of people. And I think like, I don't know, just seeing like people's like response to it and like their excitement for it was just like really encouraging. And it was a really nice way to kind of like see what other people were making, and then like just kind of feel like, because it's so hard online when you like put something up and it's like, it kind of just feels like you're putting it out into like the void. And like, yeah, so it's cool. Kind of, it was really cool seeing like kind of a response that way.
That's dope. Well, I'm curious about you talked about kind of like finding your people in this in this city, and that being kind of like a moment of like, oh, like I found like a group of people that where I feel like I belong a little bit. Were you able to use any of those skills, or like friend searching skills, community searching skills, for when you moved out to LA? Like, what was your thought process for meeting other artists, meeting other like-minded individuals, meeting people in the LGBTQ plus space?
Yeah, I think like moving out here, because when I was part of the Chicago Printers Guild, I like every month we would get together and we would go like I helped like develop a schedule where there was like a different artist each month, and they would host that month's like meeting in their studio, and they would give like a little tour of like their setup. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and it was pretty similar to like kind of like in animation, how like everybody kind of has like their own processes and like kind of how they approach things, and it's always really interesting kind of like finding out like how they think about things when they're making art. So like moving out to LA, I kind of still had that mentality of like, oh, like where are the groups or like the ways that people kind of get together. And so like after the pandemic kind of settled down a little bit, I found out about like Heavy Manners Library, which is like,
Yeah.
yeah, the comic
Yeah.
shop. And so that was like a really nice kind of like physical touch point for like kind of seeing what kind of work people were making and like having an opportunity to kind of like meet some people.
Yeah,
Nice.
Heavy Manners is such a great community, a point for a community to like start meeting other DIY and artists and comics and like and they have like life drawing sessions too. It's a great spot in
Yeah.
LA. Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you
I want to go. Tom Thomas Hairpick
Oh yeah.
just like started somewhat recently, maybe like a few months ago, has started doing the figure drawing classes. I want to check those out.
Yeah, he's a great draftsman too. And a long time board artist on Adventure Time as well. Are there any other spots in LA that you like to join for community and like making stuff?
Well, another one, like even before that, was like, and this was like during quarantine and everything, which was kind of when, since it was kind of right after we moved here, I like with all the downtime and everything, I just kind of took it as an opportunity to like draw as much as I could. But I found out about Sean's like little come and draw Discord server with Matt Marblow.
Oh
So
yay!
I was kind of hanging out in there a lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then you took a workshop course with me, right?
yeah, yeah, that was like Sean was essentially my intro to storyboarding in a lot of ways.
Wow!
Hey,
Shout out.
Shout out!
I'm helping.
And it
I'm
works!
helping the community.
And it works!
Yeah. But yeah, Sean, you're such a good teacher.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You were planning good before we started. Just to let you, like, I wouldn't have guessed that that was an intro into storyboarding for you because your what you made in that workshop was very impressive, and I think it's still online somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's I think it's on my Instagram, but yeah, if you want to see some amazing voice acting from Sean, it's called I think it's called Birthday Witch.
Yeah, and what was your process like making that like was that something that you had already been thinking about or like a concept you had already been thinking about like this is we're talking what like had you made a like a short cartoon before that or was that a first?
Um, yeah, I had made like some smaller things like without dialogue, just like really simple kind of narratives, just to kind of I think I was messing around with Procreate at the time.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, uh, with this, I think I wanted to kind of start getting used to Storyboard Pro. And I remember, like, for that project, your prompt was just like, it was like, you gave us like character sheets essentially, with like the background information. It was like, all right, create two characters, and then like they want two separate things, and that was it. And then, which was like such a good kind of little starting project.
It's just a
Just
little it's a little conflict. I wanted people to like basically make a scene with like basically an argument, um and people took it crazy different ways like all kinds of different settings and characters and it was cool to see what everybody did. um like during that class is there anything that you feel like you ended up taking with you as far as like process for things that you wanted to make later? Is there anything that you've that you still use?
I think initially I was like trying to emulate your style with like the character designs. So the little it like the story essentially was like there's like a pest control guy, but for like cryptids, like magical creatures,
Mm-hmm.
and then this little like birthday gnome appears because it's his birthday apparently, and this guy is like trying to clear out like an infestation of like witches in like this like swamp cabin. And the little birthday gnome is like, oh, just like that could be your birthday wish. And this guy just refuses. He's like, no, I don't trust magic. He's like very against magic. And so he kind of enlists the little birthday gnome to come and like
Be
try
in
to
a
like,
dangerous situation, pretty much,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But as far as takeaways, I think like for me, the biggest thing was just kind of learning how to like sit down with a project that big and not like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and kind of see it through to the end.
Mhm.
um just
It's
as like a
intimidating.
first, yeah, it was a lot. But yeah, it's crazy now like in hindsight how like manageable that feels.
That's a
Well,
great point. I think also
yeah.
just like as you were saying that, Harper, I realized like, oh, I do feel like working in animation, like doing storyboards, that can take like a long time. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
helped me focus on longer projects. Whereas
Yeah,
when you're like in school, like projects never last more than just like a couple of weeks, but then, tops.
yeah, I feel like that's for me has always kind of been like a huge part of being like in a community or like being friends with other artists and just kind of like seeing what they're doing and just I don't know, it's always like very inspiring. And I feel like that's always like a huge part of it.
Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like half the time we like a longer project intimidates us until we do a longer project than that, and then the next step intimidates us, and then you just realize that everything you do is just like a thing broken up into pieces to a certain extent, and you just need a little bit longer to do it. And in hindsight being 2020, what I signed in that workshop was way too much work. But some people, so the people that really applied themselves and like got into it, basically wrote and storyboarded like some like 1 or 2 minute shorts in some cases, and I was like, well, I mean, you know. I was trying not to be very strict about like how much you actually got done. I was like, listen, if you get like a few shots done, and I can talk about your boards and we can work on some writing stuff, that's fine. Everyone's coming from a different place, but uh, yeah, it was
Yeah,
cool to see your writing style come out because I mean that's I had I mean writing in general, making dialogue with characters is a is difficult, and finding your voice doing that is difficult. Have you worked on that much since? Is that something that you got to play around with in comics, so you felt stronger at?
yeah, I don't know. Before that I was doing some like auto bio like comics
Hmm.
for a while. I had like a little series called Tin Crown, which was just like little stories about like living in Chicago. But I since then I've had like another idea for a board, but I got a job on Tiny Toons as a board
Hey,
revisionist. Yeah,
woo, that's cool.
yeah. And then I think doing that full time, I was like kind of looking for something else. But yeah, at the moment now, like I'm doing background design and I can feel that itch of like wanting to do story again.
Mhm.
Can you say what on?
It's Adventure Time, side
Woo!
quests. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Man,
yeah.
you've come a long way. That's crazy.
I know. Yeah. No, it's been great. It's such a good crew of people. A lot of which I worked on Tiny Toons with, but then a lot of new folks that I've never worked with before, and everybody's super talented.
Well, let's talk about revision. I don't want to jump too far because there's stuff to talk about on Tiny Toons. Like what did you learn in revisions, and for someone who has never heard of like what the position of revisions is, like what kind of things would you do in the day to day?
So I was mostly like cleaning up boards. It's kind of crazy thinking back on it. I think it was like 2021 to the beginning of 2023. Like we got greenlit for 2 seasons right out of the gate. And then there was like this small army of storyboard revisionists like on the show. And so like the workload was really manageable, which was really helpful for me kind of at that point. Just kind of learning how to like draw faster, and getting a hang of like those character models. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I answered your question.
No, you did, because you were like talking about revisions. You said you had a small army. How many revisionists were you guys on the Tiny Toons?
I think there were 6 at the time.
Oh, that is a small army. I feel like
That's more revisionist than normal. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which now like we have 1, and they started kind of mid-season. Like,
I feel like revisionists, it's usually 1 or 2, which is crazy because well, it really depends on the show. Do you feel like Tiny Toons was getting a lot of revisions post, or like, can you describe the pipeline? Like, at what point did you all intervene in the pipeline with revisions?
so we mostly worked with the supervising director, Keith Packus, and then Matt Yang, I think, on season 2. And so I think it was sort of coming to us at a point when the board artists had kind of like submitted their boards maybe for like the thumbs pitch, or maybe the rough pass. And then it might have been after everything had been approved by executive, that they kind of passed it along to us just to kind of clean up certain spots. So I think throughout we kind of got it at different points, but yeah, this also it was completely remote at that point still, and so it was like very sparse in terms of like seeing other people in the different parts of the pipeline. And like
that's tough, because I feel like when you're not in the studio together, it's harder to kind of like understand how your job fits with the other jobs and where in the pipeline. And it's like, and I say this because I'm kind of feeling that sentiment a little bit on the job that I'm on right now. I mean, everything's great and I love the crew, but it feels, because we're still remote, it's like, it feels like you really have to go out of your way to find information to really be like, hey, how does this production work? Who's talking to who? What's happening when? You know, it can really feel this way. Yeah.
Yeah. Which production are you on?
Oh, I'm working for Netflix on Clash of Clans.
Oh, cool.
They're doing a whatchamacallit, like an adaptation, 3D CGI adaptation. We do have a lot of questions for you. Let's not forget about all the questions. I'm going to start peppering in some questions. Oh, that's funny. On YouTube, Bun Bun Shark is asking, what exactly is SideQuest and where can we watch it?
Ooh, well, it is not out yet, unfortunately, but it will be on Hulu at some point. And yeah, it's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be very funny, and I hope people like it so that we can get a season 2.
What is it? That's also something they asked.
Yeah.
Like, do we know what what it is? I haven't done my research either.
I think this has been said, but the way it was kind of initially pitched to me was that it's kind of going back to the first and second seasons of Adventure Time, where it was the more kind of one-off adventures where they were like introducing new characters every episode, and then they would just be like these little storylines that would kind of resolve and then never really kind of like circle back. So they're more like standalone. So I think that's why they called it SideQuest.
Cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how like in anime, for the anime movies, it'll be like non-canon or something. Like it's just like in between this saga and this saga, random video or random enemy comes out.
Yeah. And there's a new voice actor for Finn, just because he's like a little younger than he was when the original one wrapped, and his voice is super cute. I'm excited to see how people like it.
Adventure Time was such a like it's such a whatchamacallit, like it's one of those shows that is like that changes a whole generation of shows, you know?
Yeah, it was huge for me. I just loved that they were like bringing in a lot of like comic artists, and it seemed like they gave them. And Sean, you worked with Penn Ward on Midnight Gospel, right?
I did. I got to sit next to him, smell him, give him a handshake. I hacky sacked with him.
Nice.
I touched his dogs.
He has multiple dogs.
Yeah, he has 2 pugs.
Oh,
I think they're called. I think it's Booger and Slug. I think are their names.
yeah. It seems like he is really good at kind of letting people kind of do what they like doing in terms of art, and then just kind of like helping them do that.
I think that's a good way of summing him up.
I really liked his Adult Swim. Was it a pilot he did?
Is it Mystery Cuddlers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it too. Just about a little old couple that's trying to solve mysteries. It's cute.
Yeah, it was great. I like how they approached like the backgrounds too, where there like wasn't really perspective in a lot of them.
It's like a shout out to some UPA style stuff for any animation history heads.
Yeah, it's cool to see that. It's almost like a stage, like a theater stage type of way of thinking about backgrounds. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you can all watch it on the Adult Swim website. If you go, I think, right? It's on an Adult Swim website, and I think it's also on YouTube. It's definitely online for free, available out there for free.
Yeah, it is. Did you write Homeowners Association over and over again?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Nice.
That's more, I just, I need to pay them. So that's just a personal note.
Yeah. Dude, I was, our house was totally, when I was growing up, our house was totally the house that would get like a thing, like a piece of paper on our house, like trim all your weeds and stuff. Our yard looked crazy.
I always appreciated that growing up. Those homes that just like had like all the like wildlife just kind of hanging out in the front yard.
Well, my mom liked like planting a garden, but not like maintaining it. Like, so it's just like a crazy place.
I saw this YouTube channel where it's this guy who's like advertising his business by pretty much like reaching out to the city, asking them if he can like clean up like the garden for like abandoned houses, and he's supposed to show how well he can like maintain the property and clean it and make it look nice. But every single time I watch his videos, I'm like, you just took everything out and now it looks dried up and sad. Like before he comes in, it's all lush and grown and green, and after his little shtick, it's all brown and dry and sad. And I'm like, that does not make me want to hire you. But then everybody in the comments are like, that's a guy doing, beautiful.
Yeah.
Helping out the community.
Stepping up.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I like those videos too. I watch those videos too, and And sometimes he's like, I found an old woman who's incapable of caring for herself. And I approached her and I said, I'll do your lawn for free. And she whispered out of the mail slot, thank you, young man, you're a God's gift. And I started doing it. And then a man came up in a truck and he said, hey, I've been trying to get her to hire my company to do the lawns for ages, and you're taking away my business, so I'm going to report you to the homeowners association. And he's like, I'm going to do the lawn anyway, even if the cops get called.
It's always those kind of stories. It's like, yeah, it's got to be scripted, dude. There's no other way.
Lawn warriors, dude. It's sick.
Yeah,
it's the new front lines. It's the front lines of suburbia, dude.
Lawn drawing. I know it's always the lawn. There's so much. There's so much.
What if I want my lawn to look like a little forest? Like you won't let me? It's
right.
so.
I feel like that's the thing. Yeah, I just don't. That's such an American thing, by the way. I was so surprised that happened to us when we first moved out to the U.S. with my family, and like people were mad that we weren't cutting the grass.
Like a bunch of home nerds are gonna like scold me about not doing enough home stuff. Like just because you have only that to live for doesn't mean that you have to push that on me.
Right. Always.
Is your house the only thing
agenda.
that you have to live for, Harper? Are you all about your landscaping?
I really I love my landlord's house very much, and no, we rent. We have an apartment. I don't know if we'll ever have a home, but
wait, and they make you pay HOA?
No,
Okay.
the Hoa Hoa Hoa. There's a song in the first Twilight movie. And I forget what the name of it is, but if you like on YouTube or like Spotify, if you type in Hoa Hoa song, it will like give the song, like it knows exactly.
Yeah, and then I was like, are you just writing homeowners association over and over again?
And then you went with the bit, and then I was so
I'm so
confused.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
And now
Both of y'all.
we're here.
I'm
Now
so
we're
sorry.
here.
Well, because since this is the way it is, I'm just gonna ask a question. So Jay's Comics on Instagram is asking, what are some other good platforms besides the usual ones like Instagram, X, Facebook, or your own website that you'd recommend for someone trying to share their work?
Oh, that's a good question.
Zine.
Zine. Yeah.
Physical zine. No,
Yeah.
no.
I think it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Like if you're looking, like I'm not a huge fan of Instagram or Facebook or Twitter at this point because those people running it are kind of goblins, and I don't know. I kind of wrestle with like my attention span as well using those things, so I try to limit that. But I have like talking with other artists in the animation world, it kind of seems like it's something you want to have in terms of like having your work there, because it sounds like people kind of look there for artists. But if your goal is to kind of like build community and have like some like artist friends that you can draw with, or just kind of like talk about art with, I would definitely recommend either like signing up, like making some stuff in person, just kind of as a way to kind of like put yourself out there and kind of meet other people. And then if that isn't really an option for you, or I mean, even alongside that, like some of the like smaller options for like smaller communities, like a lot of artists have Discords, where that was kind of my situation with Sean, was like Sean and Matt had set up a Discord and they had like little drawing prompts where I think there was like Ghoul Wednesday or something. And
Yeah, we used to all get together and draw a bunch of ghouls, and people were like, "What do you mean by ghouls?" And we're like, "We gotta figure it out. That's why we need to draw it."
that reason alone, I love ghouls so much because nobody quite knows exactly what it
Everyone's
is.
like, "Is it like a zombie?" And we're like, "No, they're a little more tricky than a zombie.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more of a trickster."
They're kind of like a zombie, but like they look like they have a secret.
Yeah, they look like they have a secret. I think a good example of a ghoul is the Crypt Keeper. He's he's like, you know,
I always picture ghouls not as even being that like creepy, but like almost like little guys that are just like peeking in through your window, just kind of
yeah, and
watching
it could be
and
that
being
too.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are like kind of like ghoulets, like little guy ghouls. They're kind of like goblins.
That's funny. I feel like ghouls are like, for me, it's just like the flesh is just like very saggy. And
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. One time I was working on a short. I never came out with it, but I was working on a fake advertisement for it was a weight loss supplement for ghouls who are having trouble getting rid of the rest of their skin and muscle to become a skeleton, and it was called Meat Loss Ultra. And I still gotta make that. That's a good idea. I'm remembering it now.
Yeah. That's a good idea. It's a golden idea.
A ghoul idea.
I agree with you. I think Discord communities are a really good personable way to, and also a way to kind of build friendships with people a little bit more so than like just making a post and hoping people read it. I think, have you as a comic person, have you ever tried the posting on a comic site kind of thing?
Like webcomics kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, there's a bunch of different comic sites. I don't know which ones are the best ones or whatever.
I haven't actually. I am old and I haven't been good about kind of keeping up on that stuff, so I just kind of put it on my website and
Nice.
and then three people look at it.
That's actually really interesting because I feel like that's a conversation that we had with Michael Sweater on the podcast, where it's and Grover Tunes, where it's like we want to exit the social media route, but then eventually we end up in this spot of like, well, I also miss people commenting and liking and getting
Yeah.
that like a nice rush of dopamine. How do you how do you deal with, you said three people look at it. What's your take on that?
I also I put it on Instagram as well. There's a few comics I haven't put on there just because I don't know if the format is good for it. Like so I just put it on my site. But yeah, the being able to like I've tried a few times trying to like kind of take some space away from like Instagram, and then when you do eventually go back, and then it's like, oh no, you kind of remember it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of where everybody is, and so being able to like share with that larger audience is really nice. It just stinks that it's kind of funding this awful person.
It's also so funny because the general feeling on Instagram is like, we don't want to be here.
I know,
but like
yeah.
but people, there's still a lot of artists that are on there, and they don't know where to go, and but everyone's like, no one's seeing my posts. Is anyone seeing anybody else's posts? And no one
Yeah.
even responds to it, like because
Yeah.
it's not showing the posts to anybody.
That was, yeah, I remember when I think it was before Musk bought Twitter, so before it got really bad, but I made a Twitter account and like was interacting that for the first time maybe in like 2021, and just realizing it's like, oh, Twitter is where people go to complain about Twitter. Like everybody is just like talking about how bad it is, and that seemed to be it.
That's so funny. That's so funny because I feel like also sometimes we can get kind of lost in our perception of the platform. I'm always surprised to see that there are some thriving communities still on Twitter, even though it
Hmm.
is the place that it is now. But like,
The drawn porn communities, the furry communities, the community of people that like to argue with the bad people. They haven't
Oh,
left either.
good on them. They're on the front lines.
They're just
Do
living a life of hell and misery, just fighting every day, all the
what
time.
what generation is that?
oh my God,
That generation is
the rage bait, the I
the
prove me
baited.
wrong, the prove me right.
The furries they're doing a service protecting us.
Yeah,
Honestly,
if you're in the chat right now, if you're in the comment right now, what would you name that generation of brave warriors fighting a relentless, futile fight against a horde of
Of AI.
cretins of AI? Yeah, mostly probably even AI who they're fighting.
let's see. Orc Socks has a question from Instagram.
Marco.
Marco,
Hi,
our
Marco.
producer,
Hello,
Marco.
they
hello.
say, love the format of Little Myth of short lore for different styles of cryptid. What was the inspiration for it?
Thank you so much, Marco. That is when I started it, I was doing the board revisions on Tiny Toons, and I'd been kind of missing doing some design work. And so I kind of wanted to figure out a project where I could kind of do that. And I wanted it to be kind of something I could kind of pick up and put down just because like adjusting to the doing boards and stuff. I wanted like something that I could just kind of sit down with and kind of finish in one setting instead of having these like larger projects.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I was like, I want to do more kind of like illustration and then like do some writing and some like design stuff and I also like each one I like found a song to kind of go with it and really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like I really enjoy kind of working from music a lot of the time. Just like one of my favorite things is just like working late at night when it's like quiet and just like playing weird music and just kind of, I don't know, being weird and drawing.
I love
Also,
that.
there's a follow-up question also from Orc Socks, which is, what is your process for coming up with an entry in Little Myth? I think
Oh,
maybe if we go a little bit more in details than listening to music, I'm sure there's like maybe real life inspiration or like.
yeah, definitely. They're kind of all over the place. Some of them are like more, some of them were like kind of like processing like some emotions, like in like the early kind of stages of like coming out and like transition and stuff. And other ones are just like kind of a like either I wanted to do something that was like kind of creepy and had like they would kind of start with like a sketchbook design or just like a drawing that I liked and then just kind of build it out from there. Other ones are just kind of like a dumb joke that I wanted to kind of like have a little home for. Yeah, so they kind of vary, and other ones are just like starting with a song or having a song that I like that was just like a certain mood, and just like wanting to kind of like build off of that.
My wife always says she gave a dumb joke a little home, and then
Oh,
it's me.
oh, that's very sweet.
I'm just kidding. She moved in with me.
Ah. Benders of reality. Um, Should be the subtitle of the podcast.
Liar. Liars?
Lying.
Lying.
Lying is fun.
Lying pod.
Megan Fisher draws. Megan asks, what's your favorite medium to draw in?
I don't know if it's just like a holdover. I used to draw a lot in school, in like the margins and stuff, and so I think I still just really enjoy just drawing with pen, like just doing line work and stuff. But what about you two?
Be like Storyboard Pro.
True. I'm
Yeah.
shackled.
I really like it too. I feel like it's just easy to like get the ideas out. Like it's very intuitive and runs really quickly.
Lately, I've been really liking pen and ink and Copic markers.
Oh yeah,
Copic? Copic.
I say Copic, but I don't know. I don't know. I just finished a piece for a gallery show in ink and Copic markers as well. It had been such a long time I did it, and I was so scared, but I did it.
That's
awesome. I really like it. I think it gives me a nice break from digital. I don't like necessarily drawing in Adobe Animate. I like animating in it. Yeah, Clip Studio Paint is cool.
I do like Clip Studio Paint a lot.
I need to. I think I need to get some markers. I really enjoy drawing on paper too, and I've just been. Victor Courtwright has this like really great talk, which I would definitely recommend people check out at his like alma mater, where he's kind of talking about animation, and like he like put together like this amazing presentation, and he's just kind of talking about his background and like talking about like the pipeline, like the animation pipeline. He just kind of like breaks it down for some of the students there. And it's great, but like he talked about like how important like his sketchbooks were to him, and so I found that like really inspiring. So I've been like keeping a sketchbook and like drawing in that like a lot more regularly, and it's been so nice. But I definitely I've been like shying away from color for way too long, so I need to start playing around with that again.
I do think markers are a great way. For me, I honestly believe markers are what helped me get comfortable with color, because you get a limited color palette, so you're not kind of struggling to pick your colors in the same way that you can struggle in front of a digital color wheel. And we're not sponsored by them, but I would definitely recommend the OOOWEEE markers. It's OOOWEEE. They're really good. They're really good price for the amount that you get. Out of all the because I buy a lot of markers, and I was always trying to figure out, okay, what's the best brand for the price, and so it was my rec. Ooh,
nice, cool.
Hoey, hoo. Owner Home University. That's where the HOA heads go to school
to learn how to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
My other favorite brand, but it's more expensive, is Spectrum Noir, which is such a fancy name.
Ooh.
But they have a muted color palette that I really, really enjoy.
Cool.
They monopolize our internet. Now they're trying to monopolize our markers. I'm so sick of it.
There's a lot of money in markers these days. I similarly, I think having the print background, I used to do a lot of screen printing. So it was usually kind of sticking with like 3 or 4 colors. I think I still kind of operate with that mindset. And even when I'm like drawing in Photoshop now, like I still kind of will set up the files like I'm going to be screen printing stuff. In terms of like having the layers like knocked out instead of just using white, and I don't know, it's just a weird habit.
It's good though, in case you come back to your art later on and you're like, hey, I want to screen print that.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Yeah.
Megan also asks, what is your favorite personal project you've done?
I think I've really enjoyed this Little Myths series. I think maybe because I have ADHD or ADD, and it's just nice kind of getting to kind of like paint with like broader brush strokes in terms of like kind of like creating a story but not kind of implying some of it through like the writing and design and just kind of like creating an outline for it, and then kind of moving on and just doing another one has been really nice and really fun, and there's been a lot of variety in it, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing about having like these like short, they're almost like short stories, like one-offs, which is it's nice to have a theme that you can kind of keep iterating on. This one's kind of funny. From Newgrounds, Alistair asked, "What are the most difficult things to draw?"
Horses, I think, is like the kind of universal answer. I fall into that camp, and I struggle drawing horses. I feel like hands are the other kind of universal one. There's just like there's so much going on there in terms of like joints and angles and all that.
I like to think of you studying to be like a med student and just seeing a diagram of a hand and just saying, "There's so much going on there."
It's too much. Which, yeah, I fully support just drawing hands as circles as like a way around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you struggle to draw?
I think that this is an interesting question because I think that your initial reaction is I don't struggle to draw anything.
Oh no. That's
No, I'm
I would
talking about
say,
V. I feel like V can draw anything.
Ah,
So I feel like you're struggling to come up with an answer.
I feel like, well, okay, here's the thing. I feel like when you know, I feel like if I know I'm struggling with something, at least at the beginning of my career, I was like, well, I'll just practice it real hard. So I did like a bunch of hands. I did like a lot of horses.
wow.
So I was like, I'll know how to draw these. But no, there's definitely things I have a hard time drawing. Something that I realized recently that I had a hard time drawing was um the like a dog, an open dog mouth on a 3/4 and making it look really like,
Oh, true.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
really solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I feel like the answer is just stuff from other angles, complicated
Yeah.
stuff that you don't see from
yeah.
very much from new angles, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
top down horse.
Top down
yeah,
horse.
Drone footage of a horse.
I feel like the thing that the three of us would probably have the most trouble drawing is some sort of mechanical thing, like a really nice looking fighter jet or like an engine in a car. I feel like
Yeah.
all of our styles are very organic and wiggly and or simple, and I'm sure that we can draw storyboards that have cars in them, but like to draw like a good one, like a
Yeah.
complicated one, is
Like a
probably still
technical, yeah.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a to do, a whole to do, I think. But the most frustrating prompt request to get on on a live stream for me is, hey, can you make a like a mech robot fighting a giant monster? And so it's like it's two things.
Ooh.
The one time it was a can you make a giant kraken kind of like Cthulhu thing fighting a, like if a pirate ship was an Autobot and can transform into a transformer.
Wow.
And so I've made like like a transformer that was like a pirate ship transformer fighting a giant squid thing, because I didn't say no because I'm dumb.
I
And it
feel like
took like 2 hours.
I feel like you're really good at that kind of stuff though. Like you don't shy
Yeah.
away from it.
Well, I like a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like you draw these a lot, actually. It's funny because you're like, I don't like drawing these. I feel like you end up drawing these a lot.
Well, I mean, they're hard, and to do it on the spot and is hard, and you need multiple kind of like reference sources. And I think that that can be difficult. It's definitely not something that's easy to draw from memory. And I think that that's the scary
Mm.
that's the scary thing. Horses are hard. Horses are also, I think that the only reason I learned how to draw horses is because I find when they look freaked out, they're so funny looking.
I know,
So I constantly draw a horse with its like lips pulled back and its teeth showing because it's
They
so
are,
funny.
yeah. It really does. It feels like a huge, like in terms of leveling up your art practice, learning how to draw a horse is from like a comedy perspective. It's just like, yeah, it's next level. I feel like Keith is very good at drawing funny horses.
He's the next.
That's right.
James Baxter. Yeah.
There's the horses that go to the moon. In that short.
What's going on with this
What I've drawn?
this little sequence? Yeah.
Well, I wanted to expand upon what I thought V was drawing, but find an excuse for it to be what it is without it being dirty. And I wanted to make a little sequence whereas this character like sees a glow in between their legs, and they're like they find like this portal into, it's like a little person. I don't know. There's a person in there. I don't know. It's hard to work backwards to make it okay.
She has
A quiche or something.
Like, yeah, you're like making it wholesome in hindsight.
Yeah,
She has
he's
like
just
fresh
discovering
baked
something.
cookies.
Because I feel like there were a series of shows like back in the like early 2000s and 90s that were all like, I found a small thing or a small person. There was Indian in the cupboard, small soldiers.
Yeah.
There was like little guys, and it's like they had found this technology, or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like people were obsessed with making stuff people real small. And so maybe I'm just kind of going in on a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, I love it. I think that approach made a lot of sense because I feel like kids have a very different relationship to like the ground and the floor because they're a lot closer. And so they're like spending a lot more time down there looking at like bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
That was my first word was bug.
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious.
That's cool.
That's crazy. How come? That's so funny.
I used to live in a landfill. No, I used to
I was raised by bugs.
my parents had all these parrots growing up, and so there was always like parrot seed on the floor, and I would play with the parrot seed and I would go bug, bug, bug.
Did they feed the parrots bugs and then
did they?
Because I
yes,
see this,
but I don't think I knew that. I at the time I think I was playing with the seeds and maybe I guess I was just interested. Like maybe I saw nature documentaries or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking because I feel like I watch all these like YouTube channels about parrots, and then often they will like present the bug to the parrot and be like bug, if you're like help them like learn words, I guess. I was like, maybe that's how.
Well, there's that one African gray parrot that's real smart, right? Is that who you're talking about? Where like they've taught the parrot how to say like what the object is made of that they hold up. It's like plastic, rock, whatever.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Polo.
Very V. When are you gonna get a parrot?
Thought about it, but it's too much work. Harper, do you ever face creative block? And if you do, how do you handle it?
I'm looking at the comic developing. I do definitely. I'm trying to think kind of what I do. Usually I like take some space away from the thing, but I don't know. A lot of times I try to push through it. Like when there's like a little creative problem that you can't figure out and you think like, oh, I'll just stay up late and try to like keep working on it, and then it never, I mean, sometimes it does, but I feel like generally it doesn't really click, and so you just like end up working super late, and then in the morning you wake up and it's like right there. So I feel like, yeah, walking away from project if you can, is kind of, that's my go-to. But that also requires making sure that you don't procrastinate and leave like zero time to like do the thing. But I do that way too much as well. So I don't know. I haven't cracked it yet.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't think of to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess I have like a question for you both. Like, this has been a lot of fun, just like drawing and chatting and stuff. And I feel like that's been like a really nice aspect of like working in animation, is like everybody is so friendly and like willing to kind of like talk about their experiences and like their approaches. And I really enjoy that. Do you think like doing this show, has there kind of been anything in particular that has kind of like helped you in like your practice, like anything specific from like a specific guest that kind of stuck with you?
Honestly, I would say yes. For me, it was when I was talking to Aminder Dhaliwal, like I think she was the first one on the show who brought up that or at least who said it in a way that really made sense for me, was that like when you're writing and you're having a hard time writing, she was like, well, write the worst possible the worst possible way you can write it, you know? And every time I'm stuck before writing a comic page or anything, I remember this advice and I actually do that. And that helps me unlock what I'm trying to do really fast. Because it's like, oh, now that I'm trying to write it bad on purpose, I actually can unlock something mediocre or even not that bad. And I think that's something like that I really think about like on the regular.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense.
I do that with my sketchbooks, where I do like a bad drawing on the first page, just so I'm not so precious with it.
Yeah. I forget if it was a guest on the podcast or who said it, but someone said they had a teacher that made them cross out every single page in their sketchbook, you know, and then they would,
that's crazy,
would have to like draw on in that sketchbook. But then the fact that the pages were crossed out was like a way that like, oh, now the you don't have that pressure of making everything look really nice.
I want to punch that professor in the face. That that's stupid ass advice. No, I'm just kidding. Ruin my sketchbook. Get out of here.
But that's the reason why I actually like drawing in composition books that you buy for $1 better than any other. Like all of my nice sketchbooks are like kind of left blank. Or I know I'll get to them eventually, but every time I go to like a CVS or whatever and I buy one of those like composition books, that gets filled up super fast because I'm like, oh, I just paid the $1 for this, or like $3.
No, it makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes sense. There's less pressure on it. Drawing on cardboard or loose leaf or whatever, I feel like is usually a good answer for people. I feel like although I've totally gotten useful advice while kind of doing this podcast, I think the thing that it's helped me the most is keeping social and feeling connected to other artists, and of course learning what their process is and stuff. But I feel like it can feel so easy to feel disconnected from people, and also to not practice talking to new people, because a lot of the people I talk to on this podcast, I'm meeting them for the first time. And sometimes that is scary, and so doing it every week on this podcast has helped with that, and make that less of a big deal. And I've met a lot of really cool people on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the social aspect of making art, I think, is like one of the like kind of sleeper hits in terms of like its value. Like
Mm-hmm.
it ultimately can be something that kind of gives people purpose and like kind of brings them together. And yeah, that's like shouldn't be understated.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like I don't know if it's something that we explore a lot on well in interviews, but it's like making art it is a form of communication, and it's definitely something that I don't know. I think it's really hard to do in a vacuum or like not show anyone, and I think yeah, being like this art is inherently social.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also really hard to trick people into just sitting down and drawing with me that like are cool artists. I feel like making friends as an adult is so weird and awkward. And it's like, if they're not going to a drink and draw, how am I supposed to trick this person into drawing with me? And, well, how about we do an interview and,
mhm.
Mm,
we'll make you feel like an expert and we'll give you attention. And in return, I get to draw with you.
yeah, the perfect setup.
The perfect setup. I will say though, I've told a couple of my friends this that like I brought up on the podcast after but it's like sometimes it's just kind of weird asking these questions at the workplace like where did you go to school or like how did you get into art? Like it's kind of like it feels like yeah, it's like why are you questioning me? But it's kind of nice to have like a platform to do that because sometimes you learn from
Yeah,
people.
those are all my security questions
Yeah.
for my passwords and stuff. It's all like
Yeah.
how many years have you been doing this?
Yeah.
And then you guess my password.
I will also say, like, working in animation from like an art perspective has been like great for me because I feel like hanging out with like people in animation, it's like nice, like it's been a nice reminder, like not to take it so seriously. Like I feel like a lot of times art kind of gets put on this pedestal, and like I don't
Mhm.
know, just hanging out and drawing with people and drawing horses is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you realize that they're just a flesh bucket with the hands, clumsy hands, and they make mistakes, and not no one's a god, you know.
No one's a god.
No one's a god. Wow. I feel like that should be our closing statement for the podcast because it's so powerful, right?
No one's a god. Keep
No
yourself
one's
in
a god.
check.
Yeah. Well, with that, Harper, anything you want to plug before we go?
uh, I guess Adventure Time side quest when that comes out, but yeah, that's
Do you
it.
know when it comes out?
I don't yet,
Okay.
but it might be next fall, maybe. Who knows?
Might have a nice trip. See you next fall.
See you next fall.
You fell for it. um, hell yeah. Do you have a new zine that people can buy?
Oh, yeah, I am working on one right now, and if you follow me on Instagram, I usually post like the first drafts of those on there, and yeah, I'm hoping to kind of have that finished up by this fall, and that'll be the third volume of Little Myths, and then hopefully I can pop around and sell it at some fairs and stuff.
That's so nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to say thank you to our listeners. Follow us on social media at CRTV Block, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to Clements for editing the podcast, Marco for helping us produce the show, and Abuka for creating the short clips we've been putting out.
If you love our show, you can support us on Patreon. And you can also support us for free by commenting, liking, sharing the podcast. Click the link in the description of this episode. I've been your to follow Harper on all her socials and to find our Patreon. I've been your host, VEE.
And I was Sean. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.